என்னை இந்த கூட்டத்துக்கு கூட்டத்துக்காக அழைத்ததுக்கு ரொம்ப நன்றி. ஆரம்பமே ஒரு வருஷத்தோட ஆரம்பிக்கும். உங்களுக்கு முன்னாடி மீட் பண்ணலன்னா வருத்தமா இருக்கு. அந்த மணிப்பூர் போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி இன்னைக்கு நீங்க பேசுறது வந்து ஒரு ஒர்க் ப்ரோக்ராம் மாதிரி எனக்கு கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க. இந்த ரிப்போர்ட் ஆன் மணிப்பூர் வயலன்ஸ் ஹென்ரினா சரி கொண்டு வந்தது. இன்னொரு செகண்ட் எடிஷன் கொண்டு வந்து சொன்னது வச்சு பார்த்தேன். தேங்க்ஸ் வெரி மச். இட்ஸ் a wonderful framework which you gave us. நீங்க எத்தனை பேருக்கு தமிழ் தெரியாது? How many people don't know Tamil? Most people. Okay, maybe if you're sitting around with somebody who can translate, we can do that. Let me be bilingual. We all know okay, what he talked about Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Kenya, and all those places, Somalia, Sudan, many countries. While the conflict in those countries are huge. India is not a stranger to conflict. You name the type of conflict in the world, we have it. Scale may be different, but we have all the conflicts. We have tribal conflicts, we have identity-based conflicts, we have regional conflicts, we have language conflicts, we have conflicts related to natural resources. You name the conflict in the world, we have it in India. So don't think we are living in some idyllic world in India. இந்தியாவில் அதே பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்கு, பிரச்சனை ஜாஸ்தியாக இருக்கு. இந்த பிரச்சனைகள்ல பல பிரச்சனைகள், அது நார்த் ஈஸ்ட்ல வந்து நிறைய பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்கு. ஒவ்வொரு மாநிலத்திலையும் ஒவ்வொரு வகையான பிரச்சனை இருக்கு. அந்த வகையில சமீபத்தில் நடந்திருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பயங்கர துயரமான ஒரு விஷயம் மணிப்பூர்ல நடந்துச்சு. The tragedy is still unfolding. It's still not ended. Prime Minister is said to be going down tomorrow. We don't know if he's going to go. 2.5 years now, he's still not gone. 60,000 people are living in camps. கடந்த 28 மாதங்களாக மணிப்பூர்ல 365 கேம்ப் இருக்கு. 365 கேம்ப்ல பல இடங்கள்ல இருக்கு. 55,000 60,000 சொல்றாங்க. சார் சொன்னாரு டேட்டா வேணும்னு. கவர்மெண்ட் டேட்டா இல்லை. அதனால எங்க ரிப்போர்ட்ல ரொம்ப டேட்டா இல்லைன்னு எங்க வந்து திட்டாதீங்க. கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்குற டேட்டா இருக்குது. நாங்கள் போனோம். We also try to find out data on our own. Reportedly 260 people killed in the last from May 3rd, 2023 till today. Yet there are some peculiarities. Manipur is the only state in India where there are some areas where some communities can go, some areas where other communities cannot go. So imagine Manipur is like a bowl. The bottom part, the valley is Imphal. There is majority community, which is the Meiteis, largely Hindu by origin. They stay in the bottom part. The first round of hills, you have a community called the Kukis. Upper hills, you have the Nagas. So 3 communities there with a very long, troubled past. It's a conflict-driven area. It has long. It is the place with the maximum number of president rule in the country. And the Mariana state, today, the Meiteis cannot go into the Kuki areas. There are no Kukis living in Imphal. Ethnic cleansing is complete. So when you are reading words like ethnic cleansing, what's happening here, there, it's happening in India now. Our people, how many of us are bothered about going in? How many of us are spending time to find out what is happening? Are we bothered about it to our teachers teach? I believe many of your students. Many of you have to go find out. Because the tragedy is of humongous proportions. On August 20th, I am part of the PUCL, the People's Union for Civil Liberties. We came out with a report of the Independent People's Tribunal, which was set up of 14 jury members, independent of PUCL, of whom one of the jury members was Henry. The report was released by the Indian People's Tribunal. It is available in pucl.org. You can go into the entire report is available there. It's almost 700 pages report. It's a big report. I will only focus on the child, the the children and the type of tragedy that's taken place on the children in this conflict area. Now, three things I would have to say. If you go to the northeast and if you go to Kashmir, these are all the conflict from India's nature, long history. The rest of India will become anesthetized about what happens in these areas. We are not very bothered. I'm talking generally. I'm not talking about a few people here or a few people there. Generally, we are not bothered about what happens. So they have a term for this. You go to the northeast, they will make a distinction between mainland India and northeast India. Mainland India and Kashmir. Nobody talks about all of it is in India. And the Vati clear. So mainland India. So what do people in mainland India think about it? Mainland India, what do the northeast people think about it? You already divided. Okay. That is how deep this division has spread in India. That's how deep the conflict is in India. Today, nobody is bothered about it. Media is not bothered. You have a boarding media, they are not bothered about it. Mainstream people in the academia are good enough for talking in conferences. Nothing much is happening out on the ground. Only a small number of people are still talking about it. So first, you go to Manipur, the whole issue is what is happening in mainland India, what do they think about our country? Mainland India will say, oh, those tribal people, those people there, those people, somebody in Mali. See, it can be very insulting. Before a dummy, when somebody comes and says, those people in some place called Tamil Nadu or some place called Kerala, it can be very insulting. It can get us angry. Already you have the Dravidian model of development and then the Indian model of development and the BJP model of development. All these things are happening. We are living in the middle of all of this. So one of the things that comes to when we don't know anything about what is happening there, they get very angry about the fact that the rest of India is not bothered about what's happening there. And we treat them like museum pieces. It's like walking into a museum and there's the ethnographic museums and all that. See, I'm saying this not to make a mockery of it, but to say we have to locate this conflict in this historical context. So if you do not do that, we will miss the game. And like what Dr. Venkatraman beautifully said, you cannot look at Yemen and Libya and Lebanon and the Houthis in the various areas and all these places unless you look at a historical, socio-political context and the economic context. Without that, these things are just simple things that are happening here and there. This is the second. The third, how do we explain a conflict in an entire state going on for 28 months? How do you explain 28 months that it is going on? Who is responsible for it? Who is gaining out of this conflict? Why is nobody doing anything about it? These questions are very important. Now let me bring all of us to the ground. This is not a question only for Manipur. This is a question all of us are facing. If you are reading the papers, they are already starting the Bihar SIR process. The whole controversy of the Bihar SIR now is going to be done throughout India. And where are they going to start it? In the next 3 states where the elections are going to take place in 2026. Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal. They are starting it. Now they say they are going to do it everywhere. Now what is not well known? And I'm keeping myself confined to conflict children and the role of people like us. What is not very well known is that today anybody who is speaking Bengali, who looks Muslim and is wearing seemingly Muslim dress is now dubbed as a Rohingya, infiltrator, anti-national. They don't even give the word refugee gives some respectability, even that is one. The word refugee, India is not a signatory to the refugee convention. Refugee but on the refugee, and the small dignity is also removed by calling us Guspetias. Okay, South people, we don't know about Guspetias. Guspetias are the encroachers. Okay, they are the ones who come into India. Don't forget the Prime Minister used this word Guspetia about Muslims in the 2024 elections. So we are not talking of extremes, we are not talking of borders, we are talking of mainland India. In Karnataka, in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, let the Dravidians not be lulled into thinking it's not coming, it's coming here. In almost all the states, there are now IDP camps. There are now camps set aside for people who are dubbed to be 20 camps built with central funds. All the BJP states have those camps. All the non-BJP states, camps have started. It's not become public, it's there. It's not there. The point I'm trying to say is that the day is not far away where what happened in Manipur is going to happen in mainland India. That's why I'm linking up mainland and the borders. It's going to happen in mainland India. The infrastructure for treating people as non-nationals is already in place. So when Trump in USA is talking about the word there, the aliens, that's the word that they are using there. We already have those words come here. Buspatia is an alien. That's the Indian, in the Hindi word for Buspatia, and the meaning is alien. It's already happening in India. So what Dr. Venkatraman said, I think is something that we all need to do. I'm going to ask him if he can address human rights community in terms of the framework based on your rich experience, because you have given some fantastic. I'm really feeling so sad that when we planned this tribunal, it did strike us that we should talk to people like you. நாங்கள் எங்களோட கவலை என்ன, மணிப்பூர் போக முடியுமா, நாங்கள் ஃபீல்ட் ஸ்டடி பண்ணோம், போக முடியுமா, அடிப்படாமல் நாங்கள் எப்படி போயிட்டு வருது, எல்லா இடத்துலையும் பிளாக்கேட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க, எப்படி பிளாக்கேட். Our whole focus was the human rights side. That it slipped our mind. I feel very sorry when I was listening to you, sir. I think you pricked my conscience. I have failed in a big way. I am the General Secretary of the PUCL, so ultimately I have to take the responsibility for it. That I can share it a little bit with you, but it was also unclosed. But we did look into this. We did look into a lot of things that we talked about. I feel, let me put it in a positive way. I think you have given us a new piece of thinking about what to do now. This issue is not there. Now, very briefly, lest you all get bored, very briefly, on the 3rd of May, okay, before that one step, maintain community is about 44-46% in largely belong to the Hindu faith. It's a small group who say we are not Hindu, but we are the early part of the native maintain religion. They call themselves the Sanamahis. The BJP and the RSS is very strong there, pushing together to militant groups. The cookies are in the immediate hill areas around the valley, upper hills, like I said earlier, and then others. This conflict, there have been many conflicts. There has been Naga cookie conflict. There has been a Meitei Hindu versus Meitei Muslim conflict. When you are talking about conflicts, you are talking of killings of hundreds of thousands of people. Mainland India, we don't even know this history. Our history, India's history. Because we are talking about large numbers of people being killed, displaced, all the things that Dr. all of it is true to all of Northeast. Tripura, Assam, what's happening now in Assam. Day before yesterday, there was a huge rally, 20,000 people, tribals, have said all previous 20 years regimes have failed us. We have been wanting to be included in the scheduled tribe. They have not done us, and we are not going to rest on. This is day before yesterday. 20,000, 30,000 people marched in Sukia. So we are talking about a place which is going to get treated about waiting to burst. Are we equipped to deal with this? Do we have the infrastructure to think about it? We know that we are anywhere of that. Now the conflict this time in 2023 till now is between the Meiteis majority and the cookies, about 20-24%. That's a figure. The whole issue burst out over the issue of whether Meiteis are demanding scheduled tribe status. The High Court of Manipur, and there was a Tamilian judge who was acting justice at that time. He played the mischief at that time. He gave an order telling the Manipur government, please give them the ST status. They are asking for it, so please recommend to the government of India to give them the ST status. That burst. All the tribal groups, including the Nagas and the Trees, came together and said, no, we oppose giving ST status to them, because if they are the majority, they come into ST status, our reservation will be nullified. The same issue of the whole issue of division of reservation benefits, funds, etc. Politically, Meiteis are in command. What are the 40 MLAs? 30 of them are only Meiteis. The political executive and the bureaucratic executive is largely in the hands of the Meiteis. Okay, so this is important. So the question is, anytime any conflict, we need to be able to understand the context, the socio-economic, political, cultural context in which any conflict is taking place. So there was an all-tribal procession ordered on, announced for the 3rd of May 2023. 3rd of May 2023. All the tribal groups in the tribal parts of Manipur, or 10 or 12 districts, they had a procession which ended peacefully. One district called Suresh, which is also a very important historical place. After the procession ended, there is a gate called the Anglo-Kuki War Gate. In the 1919, the Kukis fought against the British, seeking independence of India. So they have always claimed that we are part of India and we are part of the independence struggle. Whereas Meiteis have a different type of historical context. So the Kukis claim this. There is a very symbolic gate built in 1919, which for the Kukis are very important. There was a rumor saying that that gate is being set fire to by the Meiteis. So all the Kuki youngsters rush there. When they go there, they find the police along with 2 Meitei militant groups. Meitei militant groups are one called Arambai Temple, which is being supported and helped by the then Chief Minister, Suresh. It's all there in the report, so I'm not giving anything extra. It's all there in the report. And another group called the Meitei Lipu. Both of them are Meitei fundamentalist groups, armed to the teeth, supported by the state, and given full protection. They go and loot armories. They have removed about 7,000 latest modern weaponry from the police army, which they have used against the police. On 23rd, there is a plan, which is what we said. We went into social media posts 1 month, 2 months before the event, and we traced out that there is a common thread. எல்லாமே பிளான் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. ஸ்பான்டேனியஸா எதுவும் நடக்கல. ஏதோ 2 குரூப் வந்து இவன் கத்துனா இவன் கலையிருக்கான் அப்படிலாம் நடக்கல. ரொம்ப பிளான் பண்ணி அந்த மிலிட்டரி குரூப்ஸ் இருந்தாங்க, சண்டை போட்டாங்க. அது வெடிச்சது. In the news spread in far, people were attacked. The nation woke up only 1 month late when there was a video of 2 young Kuki girls who were completely stripped naked, beaten up and raped and killed. And the video the nation woke up to the seriousness of the issue. I won't go into more details beyond this. It spread. 258 are supposed to have been killed. This is the official data. Unofficial, they talk about type of numbers, we stick with official data. We tried to avoid 2 things. And again, bringing in a lot of youngsters here, this is the learning point. We tried to avoid 2 things. We avoided. நான் என்ன சொன்னேன்னா, யார் முதல் கல் எறிஞ்சாங்க, யார் முதல் ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. We didn't get into that. As a team, this report tries to avoid that. That we will not say good, because in such mass scale, you don't know which one started, which one, and it's futile. So the events have overtaken. Second, there is also this issue. You talk about 1 victim here, you have to talk about 1 victim there. I'm sure Dr. Venkataram would have seen everywhere in all these places. You have been following many of these conflicts also. You have one here, it's called the principle of equivalence. If you talk about 1 Tamilian, then 1 Kannadiga, the Saveri Valley. You talk about 1 Tamilian, then 1 Kerala. If you talk about the border battles between Kerala and Tamil Nadu and the river battles that are there, and likewise. So we try to avoid that, and we came out with this report. Now, like I said, 60,000 people are in camps. There is no figure of the total number of children in these camps. Approximate estimate is 1/3 of the people in the camps are children. So what are the type of problems that they are facing? I have a whole lot of things to talk about, but I'll just keep it very, very short. So, in the மோதல் நடக்கக்கூடிய பின்னணியில குழந்தைகள் மீது என்ன வன்முறை நடந்திருக்கு? இது 2 வகையா பிரிக்கும். 2 வகையா பிரிக்கலாம். ஒன்று வன்முறையுடைய தாக்குதல்கள் என்ன? The violence and the impact of the violence. You can study the problems of children in this area in 2 broad categories. One category is the category of the violence, the various dimensions of that violence. That's immediate. The second thing would be the systemic and the institutional forms of violence that they are experiencing, and that's going through. So we need to separate these 2. It's very important for us to understand points of commonness and points of difference. In the immediate violence, children have seen horrible type of violence on dead bodies after people have been killed. Now, I'm not a stranger to violence. I've been to many violence areas. My PhD is on violence, so I'm not a stranger. The type of things that they have done is horrible. For example, I'm not getting into which community against which community. are instances where a young boy, about 22 years old, killed in a horrible way, then the fingers are all cut. Okay, the head is chopped, the leg, toes are cut, and they make like a garland. What we see in the wedding times, big garland with one apple at the bottom, on the side we have some flowers, like that. Okay, this is taken and spread in the social media. Okay. Now obviously children are also seeing this apart from all this. What is the impact on the child? What is the impact on young youth? This effect is not going to die off for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Now I'm talking about extreme forms of violence. Apart from extreme forms of violence, see, death is a relief. Person is gone, he is gone. But after he is gone, mutilation of the body creates mental stress, creates mental illness, creates PTSD. Many of you are part of this support team, so you know what PTSD means, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a whole range of mental illnesses. Apart from that, disablement, apart from that, a whole range of other injuries that can be caused to people. This is the physical part. The next part is looting, pillaging, and burning of houses. This is the immediate part. If I am a member there, what happens to me? The third, I am now going beyond the individual victim. I am looking at the victim as part of a small group, the community. Displacement from the locality of living in. Houses being burnt away, houses being destroyed, anything that you have cultivated being completely reduced to ashes. That's the third part. So, starting from the person, then beyond the person into the family, now you're going into the locality, and then you go into the community. Entire community driven away from areas. So right now in Imphal, no Kuki is living. In the hills, no Meitei is living. This is the type like this is India. There's no other place in India which is there like this. 2.5 years is going on like this. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow when the Prime Minister is there. Already some announcements are made. The moment the announcement came, two groups came and said we did not agree to this. But do we as citizens have a role to play here? Is one issue, the broader issue. Keeping it in the context of children. This is the fourth one, is in terms of shelter and safety. I'm talking still of individuals and groups. Shelter and safety, water, sanitation, health needs, medical needs. Now you have to look at it in two ways. Not just children. Children can never be looked at as only children. Children are part of the family. There are older people in the family. Somebody is older whose hand has been chopped off or who's very ill. Very ill grandmother, grandfather, uncle. You have to be taken care of. They need medicines. Where are those medicines coming from? There's no medicine. Okay. So this is one type of thing. Then there are other things like access to medical help and nutrition, food. In the immediate part of what happens after conflict. This is the immediacy part of the conflict. Then we go to the next one. Conflict continues for more than 15 days per month, like what's happening there. It's prolonged. Then you will have to bring in the systemic and institutional parts. Okay. For example, access to health, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, and all the other indicators that you have, stunting. It's there. Our report has it. We have about 120 pages full of this thing. We had experts from the health industry who looked into it, said, before the conflict, what was it? Now after the conflict, we still cannot measure it. But after the conflict, with whatever indicators we have, what is the possibility? Now this brings us to one very important issue. Conflict. பின்னாடில எந்த மாதிரியான ஃபுட் கொடுக்குறாங்க? நாங்கள் கேம்புக்கு போனோம், குக்கி கேம்புக்கு போனோம், மெய்டே கேம்ப் போனோம். And we found lot of discrimination and discrepancy in the type of availability of rations. Uniform, there is no nutrition in all these camps. That's uniform. On the other hand, apart from that, the type of rations given, there was a distinction because the capital area is a valley area where the Meiteis are there. They are the ones who are in the government. They are the ones in the political. They have greater access. Cookies are in the hills. They don't have access. Small things in there. Potato. Very potato, chili potato. Becomes issue. I mean here, potato. Potato is not that small potato, big becomes a big issue. Camp after camp event, this is what people talk about. We are only eating potato and onions. There's nothing else. Eggs once in a while. Meitei camps, eggs, little better supply than camp. We are not getting into comparing Meitei cookie. All I'm saying is uniformly. the camps are abysmal in terms of nutrition. Now, this very nutrition please understand. You have to understand in conflict area mental trauma. Mental trauma is now added when you have nutritional deficiencies. You have nutritional deficiencies overlaid on health emergency, it becomes a toxic combination. That is what is happening here. So, systemic area, what is the access to hospitals, primary health centers, or urban primary health centers, government hospitals, etc. Many of these issues would need to be studied. Our report is there, I will not bore you. Now, we were forced to look at all of this. That's it. You have to look at conflict. The template is institutional inequities. Now, inequity is where there is unequal distribution of infrastructure in place to place. The type of infrastructure in the northern districts is very different from the type of infrastructure in the western districts. Western districts, they have much better infrastructure than here. They are in Dhanukri, they are in Krishnagiri, they are dry areas or Ramanathapuram. On the side of the infrastructure is poorer than in other districts. This is how development is. Highly developed, undeveloped children. That same thing exists even in developed states. Now, the point I am trying to emphasize here is, when you look at conflict, this conflict is happening on the background of this inequity. This inequity obviously impacts on conflict management or in terms of medical, health, food and other security. I was appointed by the Supreme Court of India as Food Security Advisor to Tamil Nadu. For 10 years I was a Food Security Advisor. 2005 to 2016 is the PUCL case. So I had occasion to look at all of this in great detail. What is the impact on nutritional security based on existing inequity in access to infrastructure? Okay, I talked about it. Children now children are based, we need to distinguish, I like very soon. Children are profile. Able-bodied children is one set. Disabled children is one set. Injured children are a third set. Now, injured and disabled, we should not put them together. Injured children are another set. Mentally affected children are the children because of the violence that is going on. They are neither able nor disabled. Physically they are able, but mentally, emotionally they are not disabled. Okay. So when you are talking about children now, you are talking about children across spectrum of ordinariness. Only a small proportion has all the faculty. All other people have something or the other affected. Okay. Now, is there a policy? Dr. Venkataraman, I think people will make a policy. There is no distinction also. When there is no distinction in terms of food and nutrition in the camp, where is the question of distinguishing among children? There is no way it is there. That's one part. Second part, children are desperate for education. Not these areas that the children are desperate for education. Education has been totally disrupted. Now the point is, 60,000 people are in camps. There will be another 60,000 to a lakh or 2 lakhs who are displaced, who are not coming to camps, who have gone into various other things, living with relationship, left the state. That number is not known for both communities. What do we deal with them? They are going to be future children of this particular area. How the going to treat being united and it's not going to happen after the type of trauma that we have seen. Okay. I'll wind up now. Counselors there are no counselors. So we did a survey of psychiatrists. There are only 30 psychiatrists, trained psychiatrists for entire Manipur, of whom about 26 or 28 are in Imphal. They are concentrated in Imphal for a variety of reasons. Now nobody from the hill area can come there for treatment. So counselors, 30 is not even coming near to addressing the issue. Now you look at children and trauma. Where are the teachers, where are the social workers who are trained to treat PTSD in conflict affected children? They are not there. There is nobody there in the camps. So on the camps, the children are going around in groups. There are a lot of youngsters who come forward, both communities, and that's a very pleasing part. See, in my bleak scenario, there are some nice stories. And the story is, and the communities of Archil who have gone out. Many of them are in Bangalore, many of them are in Kerala, many of them are in Tamil Nadu also, in Maharashtra, these southern states. We have a lot of Northeast people there, including Manipur. Many of them have said they want to go back, and they are trying to go back to the camps and giving their voluntary effect in terms of the teaching part in the camps. I am not talking about schools. Schools are not started. They started ineffectively, but it's not started fully. They have, the government claims that the schools have been started in both areas. It's not very clear. Private schools have started, but they're not running completely. No training, no education, nothing is there in terms of that. If at all anybody is there, it will be NGOs, it will be church-based organization. But our support is very meager. It's not to the scale that we're talking about in a country like India, which is now talking about $5 trillion GDP. We're talking about all of these things. But yet our children, they are our children. Does not matter this community, they are our children. We all have a responsibility. If in the context, counseling and teachers are not there. So I'm taking the liberty along with Henry and others to say, if there is the child rights groups from Tamil Nadu, can you give a call? Let's not get into this community versus that community. Can you give a call from here saying, can trained counselors can you give a call for trained social work counselors, child rights counselors from the southern states, offering help to children in the camps in Manipur? Let it be a beginning. I don't know any such exercise in India. This one-day meeting would be fantastic. If you can give a call and say, we can work out the mechanisms, we can work out the thing. But important, the message is to the children in Manipur. Again, I'm not getting into this community. It's very stupid to do that. Okay? Let's look at it holistically. We owe a duty to the children in Manipur. We owe a responsibility to ensure that their current survival is supported so that they can dream for the future. But the tragedy today is that yesterday, that is from May 3rd, 2023, there was an abrupt end to their present for the children. திடீர்னு கலவரம் வந்துருச்சு. திடீர்னு அப்ரப்ட் எண்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு. அவங்களோட நிறைய பேருடைய கனவுகள்லாம் அந்த வீணாயிடுச்சு. இன்னைக்கு they face an insecure situation. So it's an insecure today. It's an abrupt end to the present 2 years back. There's an insecure present today. They are on the verge of losing a future. That's a shame. It's not a nice thing. Can we all as Indians, can we all as human beings, what is happening in Lebanon and Syria and other things, we can learn from it, still far away. Manipur is part of it. Can we all here do our bit to ensure that the future is not lost for the children of Manipur? Let's take that message. Hopefully, we will have the courage to think of something